Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 5 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on monthly OPEX day, Friday, February 21st. So, looking at really what's on deck today, we do have some news that's usually not at a common time. We have some 9:45 flash manufacturing and services PMI. So that is on the books as well this morning, as well as our 10 o'clock existing home sales and University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. This is the revised version, so it's not the new one. So maybe a little less, but the last when this print came out, the unrevised print, this really took the market down. I'm not calling for a down market or nothing like that, but you just need to be aware of those two news prints. Uh, More than likely, the 9:45 will be more, in fact, impactful than the 10 o'clock news. But we always have volatility at 10 o'clock no matter what. Maybe it's just an excuse to fire up them algos. Uh, and then there was no earnings this morning. I'll have to look and see what's driving the Dow down after that. If someone knows, they can post it in chat. There's only 30 stocks in there. I'll glance after the market comes open. It's easier for me to spot. I did not list it. I missed it. But Berkshire Hathaway does its quarterly meeting this Saturday, and usually, Buffett's making the tour on Monday morning somewhere, yabbering about whatever he thinks is going on in life, and he sold out of a lot of positions in the last two quarters, and that's not looking so good for him right now. So, maybe it'll prove to be good later, but it is what it is. Uh, so we had worked off some of our overbought conditions for the Nasdaq and the ES yesterday, so we're free to go back higher again, and I think we beat that up. So let's get into some technical analysis here. So yesterday we spent time trading between basically 532.50 on the Qs and 539. Uh, and then for the cash market on the SPX, 6100 to 6125 was the mainstay, and we still had that SPY at 610, kind of in the upper third of that range. We repaired a bunch of poor structure yesterday, all the way around. We got some cleanup in ILES and some cleanup in ILYM. Uh, Looking at what that did to structure, we have excess in A lines. And I always say when you get them on all the indexes, right, that means the A period is what we lovingly refer to in profile theory as the 9 to 9:30 first 30-minute bar. So when you have a spike up or a spike down, that you don't ever revisit the full distance of that first 30 minutes, either taking out the high and the low later on the day. Um, if there's more than several points, we call it excess in A. So that means that all the trading action took place since it was on the higher side yesterday. All that trading took place below there. So I always say, when we have an excess in A line and the excess is on the top side, once you cross over that line, you have to be a little bit more careful with your shorts, especially when all of the indexes put them on, right? So there's your, not to say that shorts won't work out great if you partake in them, but you better be tight because all these traders down below are trapped. Anyone who's short, they're not liking life above that line. Uh, so let's look at positioning real quick. So this, top part of the graph is, all of the sum of next week. So let's just look at today because it's OPEX. And if you look at, over here, always look at the legend of, how many each line is. Like, this is 20 grand just for today on each of these lines. And, when we're looking at the sum of next week, each one of these lines is 10 grand. So there's more firing off today than there will be all of next week as far as what's expiring. Because it is monthly OPEX. So the Qs, with that being said, closed at 537 quarter, and we are currently trading 539.33. So we're up, $2.10, which would be around 90 points. And if you look at the futures, and this is, because remember all those are marked at 4 o'clock. The settlement for the futures is around 4:15, so you can get, they're not going to be even. They do this just to drive us nuts, but it is what it is. We're used to it by now. But the Nasdaq is up 82 points as I'm yabbering here with you, and so if we look at 539.26, so we're right underneath of 540 today. I know you guys can't see it on the PDF you've got, but there were 23,206 calls there. You got 6,300, 6,400 on the 538, and then, or 12, 1,300, I'm sorry. And then you got 38,000 at 535. So 535 should be your floor, unless the VIX starts skyrocketing higher. And then you can see, with the sum of next week and just today that if that doesn't hold, you got another 200 points potentially lower down to 530. And unless things just get out of hand to the downside, that I would assume would be your four. So both of those are your potential floors. They're definitely SR points. So we're coming up to 540 right now. And I would expect that we're going to test this before we open at some point in time or very close to it. We'll have to see what you get. I can see us trickling up to 542, which will only be about 82 points higher. In the NQ than this 540. So if you look at where we're trading right now, that'd be about 100 points higher than we're currently trading. So for the NQ, that would be right around 22,330 is what you'd be looking at. So, and if you can break that, 540 is definitely on the table. So I think I beat up the Qs. Looking at the for today on the SPY, and each one of these lines is 20 grand, and next week each one of these lines is 50,000. It looks like. So as we come down here, so you can see there's not as much going off on the SPY today. As opposed to next week. Now you do have some bigger markers going here, but as we look at the SPY closed at 1038 yesterday. We were trading 611, so marginally higher. So you can see that this 610 here is, has a lot of gamma on it. 605 should be your floor if that doesn't hold. Uh, Watch this void down here of about 20 points, and then you start hitting into some support between 600 and 602 to the downside. To the upside, you got 612 as a little bit of a bump, and then you could, meander up to 615. And if you look at next week, there's a lot of action on 620. So if for whatever reason, if traders don't want to hedge or they're afraid of whatever Buffett's going to say tomorrow morning, you could potentially test 620. If you see 620, just sell with both hands and be done for the day. There's a small possibility we could get up there, but I would think that it's not really on the table. Uh, but we'll see. But so for the most part, you should stay between 605 and 615. And to be honest with you, I want to see if we can even get over 612. Looking at the cash market real quick, the cash market closed at 61.17 half. Futures are up about 5 points, so let's just call it 620 for the sake of argument. That we would be 61.20, sorry, that we'd be at right now. So right around here, you can see for today, 61.50 should be a draw. So that would still be about 26, 27 handles higher in the ES than we are right now. That would put us around 61, 68 if it holds. If not, there's really not a lot. You'd have to look at next week, 6,100, 60, 50 as your markers to the downside. And if you can, I just don't know if you can get any action over 61.50. That might be your line for today. Keep in mind that I keep going down to these quarterlies on the cash market. You've got 6165 is the biggest gamma for the bulls. These are the short JPM collar uh, calls for for the that expire on March 31st, the last day of the quarter, right? And they will not get rid of this position. This position is going to expire one way or the other. They don't take them off. So they don't adjust them. They don't do anything with them. But there's 41,000, basically 40,800 in two to be exact at this. So uh, that is your major support resistance line that's slightly above the 61.50. So don't even think that you're going to get up to 61.75 on a first test. That should be your marker. And if you do cross it, that'll be support for a few days until it's lost, and then you'll accelerate to the downside when you get back under it. I think I've covered this twice now. I'm not going to mention it again unless we get close to it. Which, I mean, to be honest with you, we're not horribly far away from it at this point in time. We're about 50 points under it from yesterday's close. So let's get into technical analysis. I'm running long in the tooth here. We are still pushing up towards these all-time highs. 61.63 was the point of control from Wednesday. We'll see if we can get it. The point of control from yesterday is 37 quarter, and we're currently trading very close to it right now. So first off in the morning, I want to see if where we are in relation to yesterday's point of control. On weakness, 60.99 is the point of control that goes back to the 13th, which would have been last Thursday. That's going to be a draw, and then you get below that with acceptance, and there's really not a lot, untested point of control wise under that. I'm not going to beat this up other than to say, we're still trying to push through these all-time highs. There's the 61.48 you got to get through, then the 61.65 to 61.80, let's call it. That's right around there, and that's all right around where that resistance was I was showing you on the positioning today. So you got to get through that, and then you could definitely get a stop run above there, but for today it's probably going to be a lid because of positioning, and then after today you're kind of free to open up range. So I'm looking for potential stalls under there again today. It doesn't mean that's going to be the case. And then if we're going to get above it, I think early next week's going to be when it would happen. So overnight action, it's only 15 and a quarter points here, and we're sitting there right on that resistance for the ES, one of them. And then so on strength, I always do this on strength. The targets above are still 22,300 and 22,400. On weakness, there's really nothing that needs repaired that's close to our current action on either index. So I'm just going to give you value areas for support potentially, and then looking up at that 300 to 400 on the NQ as where you go. I'm curious to see what Jack's looking at today. I hope everyone had a great week. I'll be around in the room today, and I'll talk to you on Monday.